I stood at the back of the lecture hall, feeling the familiar buzz of anticipation. Today was different, though. Professor Hamilton, known for his sharp wit and no-nonsense approach, was about to throw down a challenge that would shake the very foundation of our academic routine. I had always admired him from a distance. His deep voice echoed with authority, and his thick glasses perched on his nose gave him an air of intellectuality that most of us aspired to achieve. "Let's test the waters today," he exclaimed, glancing over the rows of eager faces. "I want to see if anyone here can tackle a problem I've been mulling over since my days as a PhD student. It's not for the faint of heart, mind you." My heart raced. Here I was, a Miami-born student with no real idea of what awaited me. From my seat, I scanned the room. Some students exchanged nervous glances, while others smirked as if this was all a game. I was no genius, just a regular guy who had stumbled into college with dreams bigger than his understanding of calculus. Yet something stirred within me, a desire to prove not just to myself, but to everyone around me that I could handle whatever he threw at us. "All right," Professor Hamilton continued, "the problem involves a complex mathematical theorem. I want a complete solution, and I want you to present it in front of the class." He wrote the equation on the board, a horrifying jumble of symbols and numbers that sent shivers down my spine. I leaned closer to see it better, my breath hitching at the thought of confronting this monster. As my eyes scanned the sequence of variables, a gnawing fear gripped me, but then something clicked. Maybe it was the thrill of a challenge or the urge to show everyone that I belonged here. Could I really do this? I raised my hand, my voice shaking slightly. "Professor, can I give it a try?" The room fell silent. All eyes turned to me, a mix of disbelief and curiosity reflected in their stares. Professor Hamilton raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "Very well, step up." With every step I took toward the front, my heart galloped faster. Standing before the class, I glanced at the equation again. "All right," I said, swallowing hard. "Let's break it down." I could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on me as I began. Each step in the explanation built on the last, and with every word I felt a growing confidence stirring within me. As I reached the climax of my explanation, Professor Hamilton nodded, his expression thawing from skepticism to intrigue. I scribbled the final variables on the board and turned to face the room. For a fleeting moment, I locked eyes with a classmate who had always been a source of inspiration, a brilliant mathematics student named Sarah. Her encouraging smile gave me an extra boost. "And that's how you approach the solution," I concluded, my heart pounding with adrenaline. The room was eerily quiet. I expected applause, cheers, or at least some murmurs of disbelief. Instead, I was met with a stillness that felt like it lasted forever. Professor Hamilton folded his arms, his eyes narrowing as he considered my response. Finally, a slow clap emerged from the back of the room, quickly growing into a wave of appreciation that swept through my peers. My cheeks flushed with embarrassment and pride all at once. I had done it. Against all odds, I had faced the challenge and come out the other side, not just unscathed, but victorious. Moments later, Professor Hamilton approached me, his typically stern expression softening. "That was impressive. I didn't expect that from you." It felt surreal to receive praise from someone I had idolized since my first day at college. I couldn't help but smile, realizing that this moment wasn't just about solving a complex equation. It was about challenging myself and overcoming doubts that had shadowed me for so long. As the class buzzed with excitement, I understood that I had changed how I viewed not only my capabilities, but also the perceptions of my peers. This wasn't just about academics, it was a lesson in resilience and growth. And as I walked back to my seat, a new sense of purpose ignited within me, a desire to embrace challenges and rise to the occasion, no matter how daunting they appeared. As the lecture concluded, a whirlwind of thoughts raced through my mind. I sat back down at my desk, still feeling the excitement from my unexpected triumph. Sarah leaned over, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "You were amazing up there. I didn't think you'd actually take him on like that," she said, her enthusiasm infectious. "Yeah, neither did I honestly," I admitted, running a hand through my hair. "I just thought, why not? I've been scared of that kind of stuff for too long." Her smile widened, and for a moment, we shared a connection that felt both comforting and exhilarating. The chatter around the room started to pick up again as students buzzed about what had just happened. Some commented on the difficulty of the problem, while others speculated whether Professor Hamilton would ever challenge us like that again. I couldn't shake the feeling of pride swelling in my chest. This wasn't just about academics, it was about stepping outside my comfort zone. As we filed out of the lecture hall, I fell into step beside Sarah. "So, what are you working on for your thesis?" I asked, genuinely curious. She had always been light years ahead of us in terms of her mathematical prowess. "I'm diving into some advanced statistical models and how they can apply to social sciences," she replied, her passion evident. "It's a bit heavy, but I love it. What about you? Any big plans after this madness?" The question hit me like a ton of bricks. I had been so focused on just passing my classes that I hadn't really thought about the future. I shrugged. I'm still trying to figure everything out, to be honest. Maybe something related to data analysis. I just want to find a way to make a difference. She nodded thoughtfully. You absolutely can make a difference. Today showed that you can tackle serious challenges. Just keep pushing yourself. Her encouragement ignited a flicker of hope deep within me, a whisper that maybe, just maybe, I could find my niche. Later that day, as I sat in my dorm room, I pulled out my laptop to go over my notes from the lecture. I replayed the moments of the class in my mind, the tension, the hesitation, the eventual triumph. The lecture had been more than just a test of knowledge. It had been a test of character, and for the first time, I felt like I had passed. My phone buzzed, breaking my concentration. It was a message from a friend inviting me to a party later that night. I hesitated. I had been avoiding social gatherings, sticking to what was comfortable, but something shifted in me after the lecture. I wanted to be part of that energy, that vibrant exchange of ideas and laughter. With newfound determination, I texted back, I'm in. The decision felt empowering, like I was pushing against the boundaries I had set for myself. As I got ready, I made a mental note to embrace my fear of the unknown. This was my time to grow and challenge myself beyond academics. Arriving at the party, music pulsed through the air, mixing with laughter and chatter. I spotted familiar faces and felt an initial wave of anxiety creep in, but then remembered Sarah's words, you can tackle serious challenges. So I dove in head first, engaging in conversations, sharing laughs, and even discussing the lecture with a few fellow students who had attended. As the night wore on, the atmosphere became lighter, more genuine. I felt liberated, connected to my peers in ways I never had before. It wasn't just about academic achievements. It was about relationships and building networks that could support us on our journeys. That night taught me something invaluable. Growth doesn't happen solely in classrooms. It occurs in a multitude of spaces, across shared experiences and human connections. And in this moment, surrounded by lively conversation and laughter, I understood that I was finally on a path toward not just learning, but truly living. This experience, this newfound confidence, would ripple through my life in ways I couldn't yet fully comprehend, but I was ready to embrace it all. Little did I know, the challenges waiting around the corner would continue to shape me, pushing me further into the depths of my potential. As the party buzzed around me, I found myself deep in conversation with Jake, a classmate I'd seen around but never really talked to. He was animated, recounting a story from his internship that sent everyone into fits of laughter. And then the boss walks in, totally oblivious, while I'm standing there knee-deep in spreadsheets. His eyes sparkled with excitement. I couldn't help but laugh along. After a few minutes, he turned to me. So, what's your story? Heard you took on Hamilton's challenge today. That's gutsy. I shrugged, still riding the high from the lecture. Honestly, I was scared to death. I just thought it was now or never. He nodded as if that resonated with him. We've all felt like that at some point. It's a big leap, but it sounds like it paid off. I've been thinking of going for a summer internship at a tech firm. Scary as hell, but exciting too. You should consider it. His words lingered in my mind. I had never thought about internships seriously before, but the idea was enticing. Yeah, maybe I will. What's the worst that could happen, right? I replied, brushing off the apprehension that threatened to undermine my enthusiasm. As the night progressed, I felt more and more at ease, sharing stories and getting to know my classmates on a deeper level. The atmosphere was charged with possibilities, laughter mixing with the music in a dance of connection. I realized that those walls I had built around myself were slowly crumbling. When the clock struck midnight, a few of us decided to step outside for fresh air. The cool breeze contrasted sharply with the warm energy of the party. Under the starry Miami sky, we gathered in a circle, continuing our discussions about life, goals, and everything in between. I think this semester is going to be different for all of us, Sarah said, gazing up at the stars. We're finding our voices and our paths. Her optimistic perspective resonated with me, and I felt a swell of hope. As the conversation shifted to our plans after college, I realized how much I had yet to figure out. I've been thinking about graduate school, I admitted, surprising even myself. Maybe pursuing something more focused, like data science. I don't know if it's right for me, but I can't just coast through anymore. Jake chimed in, that's a smart move. It can open a lot of doors, especially with the tech boom. You've got the brains, man, just go for it. With each supportive word, I felt a sense of clarity emerging amidst my confusion. Maybe I didn't have all the answers figured out, but I was on the right track, ready to explore and embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. When I finally returned to my dorm that night, my heart was full. The walls felt less confining, the shadows of self-doubt shrank under the light of newfound inspiration. Reflecting on the day's events, I realized how far I had come. From trembling in front of a room full of students to laughing and sharing hopes with new friends, I was transforming in ways I never imagined. As I tucked myself into bed, I made a silent promise to myself. I would no longer shy away from challenges or second-guess my capabilities. Each step I took from this moment on would be about growth, learning, and embracing the unknown. Tomorrow would bring its own trials, but I was ready. Whatever came next, I would face it head-on, one day at a time. As the dawn broke over Miami, I woke up feeling invigorated. The glow of the early morning sun poured through the window, marking the start of a new day and a fresh mindset. I could still hear the laughter from last night echoing in my mind, reinforcing my determination to step out of my comfort zone. After a quick breakfast, I decided to head to the library. I wanted to research potential internships and graduate programs that aligned with my newfound aspirations. As I walked through campus, I noticed the vibrant energy of students. Some were chatting in groups, others rushing to classes, all imbued with a sense of purpose. It felt good to be part of this community. Once inside the library, I found a quiet corner and opened my laptop. I began to dive into info about data science programs, tech internships, and all the opportunities that seemed to bloom in front of me. Each new tab felt like a step further away from self-doubt and closer to a path I could see for myself. After a couple of hours, I stumbled upon a summer internship with a local tech startup that focused on data analytics. The description was intriguing, detailing how the role involved not just number crunching, but also collaborating with various teams to pull actionable insights from data. My heart raced at the thought. Could this be the opportunity I was searching for? With a click, I opened the application page, reading through the requirements and qualifications. I took a deep breath. I hesitated for a moment, thoughts swirling, but then remembered the night before and the support I'd felt from my classmates. I began typing my cover letter, pouring out my enthusiasm, and highlighting my experience with numbers and problem solving. When I hit send, a weight lifted. I hadn't just applied, I had taken a step toward the future I wanted. It felt liberating, almost exhilarating. My phone buzzed with a message from Sarah as I packed up my things. "How's your day going? Ready to conquer more challenges?" A smile crept onto my face. "Just applied for an internship," I replied, feeling that familiar rush of excitement wash over me again. Her response came almost instantly. "That's awesome. We should celebrate. Let's grab coffee later. I want to hear all about it." As the day wore on, I attended my classes, feeling rejuvenated by my earlier commitment. I found myself engaging more, asking questions and sharing ideas, a stark contrast to my previous hesitance. Even Professor Hamilton seemed to take notice, calling on me during lectures with a nod of approval. By the time I met Sarah at the cafe, I felt like a different person. She was already at a table, sipping a latte and grinning ear to ear as I approached. "You look like you're glowing. Tell me everything." I took a seat, excitement bubbling out of me as I recounted the experience of applying for the internship. Sarah listened intently, her eyes wide. "That's amazing. You've taken a huge step forward. You should definitely keep pushing yourself. Explore other options too." As we chatted, our conversation naturally turned toward her own thesis project. I found her dedication contagious. Her passion lit a fire in me to delve deeper into my own aspirations. We exchanged ideas about potential projects, and it struck me that collaborating might be an avenue worth exploring. Eventually, our conversation drifted to future plans. "So, after the summer, what's next for you?" she asked, her brow furrowed in thought. The question caught me off guard. I hadn't really envisioned beyond the summer internship. "Honestly, more uncertainty," I laughed lightly, but then paused. "Maybe grad school next. I still have a lot to figure out." Sarah nodded in understanding. "We all do in one way or another. Just remember it's okay to not have everything planned out. You're discovering your path, and that's what matters." Her support reinforced my resolve. I watched as other students came and went, each on their own journey, each grappling with their own uncertainties. I felt a part of something bigger, a collective struggle, resilience, and courage. After coffee, we made plans to form a study group with other classmates to tackle the upcoming assignments together. I left the cafe invigorated, buzzing with excitement for the next chapter of my life. Walking back to my dorm, I felt a wave of purpose wash over me. I wasn't just a student going through the motions anymore. I was a part of a community, surrounded by people like Sarah, Jake, and others who were navigating their own challenges. Tomorrow, I would begin reaching out to more internship opportunities. I was ready to push myself even further. No longer content with just passing by, I had embraced this new uncertainty with open arms. At that moment, Miami felt like a canvas, and I was ready to paint my own future. As the week unfolded, I immersed myself in tasks that felt both challenging and exhilarating. My days were filled with classes, study sessions with Sarah and our new group, and countless hours of research on internships and graduate programs. I was driven, tackling each task with a sense of purpose I hadn't quite felt before. On Thursday, I received an email notification that made my heart race. It was from the tech startup I had applied to, an invitation for an interview. For a moment, I sat frozen, processing the reality of it. My nerves kicked in, causing an anxious flutter in my stomach. The thought of sitting in front of professionals, discussing my aspirations, both thrilled and terrified me. After a long moment, I decided to share the news with Sarah. I got an interview. I texted her, feeling a surge of excitement. "That's incredible," came her swift reply. "We need to prep. Let's meet later and strategize." That evening, we gathered at a quiet cafe away from campus. Papers and laptops sprawled across the table. Sarah took charge, asking me a series of mock interview questions designed to draw out my experiences and motivations. "Think about what you'd bring to the team. They want to see your passion," she encouraged. As we practiced, I began to feel more at ease with my answers. I reflected on my journey, how far I'd come since that lecture with Professor Hamilton. Each question we explored helped me to solidify my thoughts and articulate my goals. Sarah's coaching was invaluable. Her enthusiasm ignited my confidence further. "Remember to prepare questions for them," she emphasized. "You want to show you're genuinely interested." I nodded, jotting down ideas, feeling more composed with each passing moment. After a couple of hours, we wrapped up. "You're going to do great, just be yourself," she smiled, her optimism infectious. As I walked back to my dorm, the usual butterflies of anxiety had transformed into a thrilling anticipation. I had come far, and this was just another step on my path. The day of the interview arrived, and as I dressed in my best attire, I couldn't help but feel a mix of nerves and excitement. I arrived at the startup's office, situated in a sleek building downtown, and was immediately struck by the modern decor and vibrant energy. The atmosphere buzzed with creativity and ambition. As I sat in the waiting area, I glanced at the walls adorned with inspiring quotes and projects showcasing the company's innovations. I took a moment to breathe and center myself, reminding myself of the hard work that had led up to this day. I knew I belonged here. A few moments later, a friendly woman appeared at the door. "Hi, you must be Alex, ready for your interview." Her warmth helped ease my tension as I followed her into a conference room. The interview panel consisted of 3 individuals, each with unique backgrounds and insights. They greeted me with smiles and introduced themselves. Almost immediately, the conversational tone put me at ease. Their passion for the company was palpable, and I felt a shared energy that invigorated me. The questions flowed naturally. They asked about my experience, my problem-solving skills, and my ambitions for the future. I expressed my enthusiasm for data science and how I was eager to contribute to meaningful projects. Every response felt like a dance, an interaction where I could showcase who I was and what I could bring to the table. Towards the end, one of the interviewers leaned forward, intrigued. "What projects or topics are you currently most passionate about?" That question struck a chord. I've been delving into how data can drive decision-making in social contexts. It fascinates me how numbers tell stories that can impact lives, from business strategies to policy making. I saw nods of appreciation among the panel members, and it further fueled my passion as I spoke. Once the interview wrapped up, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. They thanked me for my time, and I left the room with a sense of accomplishment, regardless of the outcome. I had stepped out of my comfort zone, faced my fears, and engaged in a conversation that felt right. A few days later, as I was about to head to another class, my phone buzzed. My heart raced again as I recognized the number of the tech startup. "This could be it," I whispered to myself, taking a deep breath before answering. "Hi, Alex, thanks for interviewing. We would like to offer you the internship position." A rush of joy and disbelief surged through me. "Thank you so much," I stammered, trying to contain my excitement. "Welcome to the team," the voice on the other end continued, but I could barely process the rest. I had done it. I secured the opportunity I had longed for. As I hung up, disbelief turned into pure elation. My heart raced as I stepped outside, the sun shining brightly. I had faced my fears, pushed through uncertainties, and it had all resulted in this incredible moment. I couldn't wait to share the news with Sarah and the others. I understood now that this was more than just an internship. It was a stepping stone toward my future, a symbol of the journey I had begun. With renewed energy, I ran to the cafe where Sarah and I had strategized, bursting through the door. I got it. I got the internship, I exclaimed, grinning from ear to ear. Her eyes widened and she jumped up from her seat, enveloping me in a tight hug. I knew you would. You were amazing. This is just the beginning, Alex. As we celebrated together, I realized that this success wasn't just mine. It belonged to everyone who had supported me along the way. Surrounded by friends and filled with anticipation for what lay ahead, I felt ready to embrace the challenges of my new journey. Each step brought me closer to becoming the person I aspired to be, and I couldn't wait to see where it would lead. The weeks leading up to the start of my internship flew by in a whirlwind of preparations and last-minute adjustments. With classes and study sessions blending into an ever-busy schedule, I found myself juggling my academic responsibilities and the excitement of my upcoming role at the tech startup. Each day felt like a stepping stone toward my future. As I packed my bag the night before my first day, I felt a rush of nerves. I meticulously laid out my clothes, opting for a smart yet comfortable look. Business casual seemed fitting for a workplace that encouraged creativity. I took my time smoothing out my shirt, reminding myself that I belonged there. I had earned this opportunity, and I was determined to make the most of it. The following morning, I arrived at the office with a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. The city buzzed with energy, and I soaked in the vibrant atmosphere of downtown Miami. As I stepped into the building, I was greeted by the same friendly woman from my interview, Lena, the HR manager. "Welcome, we're so glad you're here," she beamed, leading me to a bright, open workspace filled with contemporary furniture and large windows letting in plenty of natural light. My onboarding began with a tour around the office. I met various team members, each more welcoming than the last. They shared snippets of their work, some touching on data projects while others chatted about the casual office culture. I was struck by how collaborative and friendly the environment felt, and I could sense that creativity thrived here. Eventually, Lena introduced me to my supervisor, David, a data analyst with a warm smile and an approachable demeanor. "Welcome to the team, Alex. We're excited to have you on board. Let's have a quick chat about what you'll be working on." As we settled into a conference room, David laid out the plans for my internship. "You'll be assisting in data collection and analysis for a project aimed at improving user experience for our app. It's a big responsibility, but I believe you're up for the task." His words infused me with confidence. I dove headfirst into the project, thrilled at the chance to engage with real-world data. The tasks ranged from gathering metrics to performing initial analyses, and soon I found myself lost in the work. Each day presented new challenges, and I felt the adrenaline rush of solving problems and finding insights in the numbers. My fellow interns quickly became friends. We often collaborated in the open workspace, bouncing ideas off each other. Emma, a fellow intern with an impressive knack for visualizations, intrigued me with her analytical approach. "Data doesn't just need to be accurate, it needs to tell a story," she would often say, her passion palpable. Over lunch breaks, we exchanged thoughts about school, life, and the paths we hoped to pursue after this experience. I shared my earlier fears about entering the tech field, and Emma nodded in understanding. "It's normal. Everyone feels overwhelmed at first, but you've shown you can rise to the occasion," she reassured me. As weeks passed, I felt my skills sharpen, gaining hands-on experience and insights that I had only touched on in the classroom. Each small success, from completing tasks to receiving positive feedback, bolstered my resolve further. One afternoon, while poring over user feedback data, I discovered a particularly interesting pattern in how users interacted with one app feature. The numbers told a story of engagement, dropping dramatically after the first use. I took the initiative to present my findings to David and the team. As I stood in front of the conference room, I felt the weight of anticipation. I shared my analysis and suggested several potential adjustments to improve user experience. As I spoke, I could see nods of approval, the team engaged in discussions sparked by my suggestions. David smiled, clearly impressed. "Great insights, Alex. Let's dive deeper into this and see how we can implement these changes." The sense of accomplishment filled me with confidence. I had contributed something meaningful. The internship was beginning to shape my identity in ways I hadn't anticipated. I was no longer merely a student. I was part of a team, tackling real-world issues with tangible outcomes. The shift in my mindset was apparent. Every task felt like an opportunity for learning, and I embraced every moment. By the time I headed home each day, I felt exhausted yet fulfilled. There was a satisfying balance between rigorous work and the thrill of discovery. I started to look forward to every new challenge, whether it was collaborating with Emma on visual presentations or discussing strategies with David during weekly meetings. One evening, as I prepared notes for the next team meeting, a message popped up on my phone. It was Sarah, asking if I wanted to join her and some friends for dinner. I considered it for a moment before texting back. Absolutely, I could use a break. That night, I met them at a cozy restaurant filled with laughter and the scent of delicious food. As we caught up, I shared stories from my internship, detailing the challenges and triumphs. Their enthusiasm was infectious, and I realized how much I had grown in just a few weeks. Sounds like you're thriving. This is just the beginning for you, Alex, Jake said, raising his glass for a toast to new adventures. As I joined in their cheers, I felt surrounded by support. This was more than a job, it was a chance to build a future. The bonds we forged through shared experiences and encouragement were invaluable. Reflecting on all that had happened since the fateful lecture with Professor Hamilton, I realized that this journey was about more than academic success. It had become a transformative experience, one that inspired me to embrace uncertainty, take risks, and wholeheartedly pursue my dreams. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, fresh opportunities to dive deeper into the world I was beginning to love. And as I settled into bed that night, excitement churned within me for what lay ahead. I felt alive, ready to seize every moment and shape my own future. Embracing the unknown. As I settled into my routine with the internship, each day became a new adventure filled with opportunities for growth. I found myself diving into tasks I once thought beyond my capabilities, assisting the data team in developing actionable insights that would improve user engagement. The combination of excitement and responsibility invigorated me, making me eager to learn more every day. One particular morning, David called a meeting with the entire team to discuss upcoming product launches. I walked in, feeling a mix of nerves and anticipation. As the team gathered, I noticed the dynamic energy in the room, a buzz of excitement about the future of the app. Everyone, David started, as we prepare for the launch next month, I want each of you to think about how our data insights can shape our messaging. It's crucial for us to tell a compelling story. That simple phrase resonated deeply with me. Data storytelling became not just a task, but a mission I was eager to embrace. After the meeting, I approached David. Do you think I could take a crack at analyzing user data to develop some messaging ideas? I asked, my voice steady but hopeful. Absolutely, Alex. I'd love to see what you come up with, he replied, encouraging me to explore. That small nod of approval was enough to light a fire within me. The rest of the day passed in a flurry of data-heavy excitement. I lost myself in spreadsheets, filtering through user behavior metrics and sentiments that had been gathered through surveys. As the numbers revealed patterns, each finding sparked ideas about how we could connect with users more effectively. One evening, as I pored over the data at home, exhausted yet determined, I stumbled across a trend that stood out. A significant portion of users struggled with a particular feature within the app. My mind raced. I had found a story urging to be told. Fueled by enthusiasm, I created a presentation highlighting my findings, complete with visuals and potential messaging strategies. The next day, I confidently shared my insights with David and the team. The discussion flowed as I explained how addressing the user struggles could enhance overall engagement and satisfaction. Excellent work, Alex. Let's discuss these strategies further and refine them for our upcoming launch, David said, genuinely impressed. The validation fueled my drive. Contributing to the team felt rewarding in a way I had never experienced before. Over the following weeks, our project intensified. The launch day approached rapidly, and with it came late-night brainstorming sessions and occasional hiccups. Emma and I continued collaborating closely, leveraging each other's strengths to refine our messaging based on user data. One afternoon, while we were fine-tuning our visuals for presentation, Emma turned to me. "You've really stepped up, Alex. I never would have guessed you were initially hesitant in this environment," she said, her voice laced with admiration. "Honestly, I couldn't have done it without the support from everyone here. You and the team pushed me to see my potential," I replied, feeling a swell of gratitude. As launch day finally arrived, the atmosphere in the office was electric. Everyone hustled, completing final adjustments and preparing for the big moment. The excitement was palpable, almost contagious, as team members exchanged words of encouragement. Once the time came, we gathered in the main conference room, eyes glued to the screen displaying real-time user activity. As the launch went live, a wave of exhilaration washed over us. Notifications pinged in rapid succession, confirming downloads and engagement. "Look at those numbers," David exclaimed, a grin spreading across his face as he pointed at the screen. Laughter and cheers filled the room as we watched our hard work pay off. I felt an overwhelming sense of belonging wash over me, knowing I had played a significant role in this moment. Later that day, as we celebrated the successful launch, I took a step back and surveyed the room, absorbing the joy and camaraderie of my colleagues, my friends. It struck me how far I had come from that first lecture with Professor Hamilton. This opportunity had transformed me from a hesitant student into a team member who was not only contributing but thriving. As the night drew on, David raised a glass for a toast. To our success and to the journey ahead, let's keep pushing boundaries. The clinking of glasses echoed as we cheered, the laughter and lightness embodying the spirit of collaboration. As I headed home that night, I reflected on the journey that brought me here. The challenges, the fears, the moments of uncertainty had all shaped me into someone ready to embrace the unknown. With every hurdle I overcame, I found clarity in my purpose and passion. That night, lying in bed, I thought about the future, the paths branching out before me, each filled with possibility. I was excited for what lay ahead, whether it was more experiences at the startup or potential ventures in graduate school. With a satisfied smile, I drifted off to sleep, knowing one thing for sure: I was ready to embrace whatever came next. This was just the beginning, and I felt deeply grateful for the journey I had begun. The journey towards becoming not just a successful professional, but a resilient individual, eager to face the world head-on. Navigating new horizons. As the weeks unfolded, I settled into a routine at the startup, seamlessly integrating work and camaraderie with my team. Each day brought fresh opportunities to contribute and learn, and I found myself growing more confident in my skills and voice. The launch had been a tremendous success, but I knew our journey didn't end there. One afternoon, David called a meeting to discuss next steps post-launch. "We've received great feedback from users," he began, pacing the room with palpable energy. "But we need to continue to evolve and improve. Let's brainstorm ideas for future updates." The room buzzed with ideas as team members chimed in. I felt a surge of excitement as the conversation flowed. When David glanced my way, I took a deep breath. "I've been looking at user feedback about the navigation features. Many people are confused about where to find key functions," I said. "Great observation, Alex. What do you suggest?" he followed up, genuinely interested. I shared my thoughts on simplifying the interface and incorporating guided walkthroughs. It felt exhilarating to contribute to the discussion, and the team quickly rallied around the ideas. After the meeting, I connected with Emma to brainstorm how we could implement these changes. "I think we could create a visual mock-up for the new navigation," she suggested. "It would help visualize how our ideas could reshape the user experience." I nodded enthusiastically. "Let's do it. We can present to the team next week." In the following days, we spent hours fine-tuning our design plans. Late nights became routine as we collaborated, balancing studies and internship work. Each session grew increasingly productive, and I was amazed at how we fed off each other's ideas, inspiring creativity and innovation. As our presentation date approached, I started to feel a mix of anticipation and anxiety. I wanted to ensure our concepts were as clear and engaging as possible. The night before, I stayed up late, rehearsing my portions of the presentation in front of a mirror, honing my delivery. I wanted to present with the same confidence that had sparked during my first meeting. When the big day arrived, I felt jittery as I walked into the conference room, flanked by Emma and the other team members. The atmosphere was charged with excitement, and I sensed this was a pivotal moment for our project. David introduced us, and Emma began to outline our findings. When it was my turn, I took a breath. As we analyzed user feedback, we noticed a common struggle with navigating our app. I started, my voice steady. I displayed our mock-ups and explained the rationale behind each change, watching as the team leaned in, interested. The discussion that followed was lively and passionate. Questions flew, and ideas bounced around like vibrant colors in a painting. David encouraged the dialogue, pushing us to think critically about the challenges ahead. By the end, it was clear our ideas resonated with the team. "Excellent work, team. I think we need to pursue these changes," David concluded, smiling broadly. The validation felt exhilarating. As we wrapped up, I exchanged a high five with Emma, our shared excitement palpable. After the meeting, David called me aside. "Alex, you really shined today. Your insights are bringing real value to the team." His praise felt like a significant milestone in my journey. "Keep this momentum going. I'd like you to lead a small group to start implementing these changes." Stunned, I nodded. "I'd love that. Thank you for the opportunity." That evening, I felt a whirlwind of emotions as I headed home. The thrill of leading a project filled me with newfound purpose. I couldn't wait to share the news with Sarah and my friends. Once at the cafe where we often met, I spotted them gathered around a table, laughter ringing out. I beamed as I joined them. "You won't believe it. I'm leading a team to implement our new app features. Wow, that's fantastic, Sarah exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. You're really making an impact. Jake chimed in, you were born for this, man. Your confidence has skyrocketed. It's great to see you thriving. I felt the warmth of their support wrap around me, reinforcing my belief in myself. Thanks, everyone. Honestly, it feels incredible to contribute to something meaningful, more than I ever imagined, I admitted, my heart racing with gratitude. The rest of the evening was filled with laughter and encouragement, my friends rallying around my new role. As I shared stories from work, I knew I wasn't just stepping into leadership, I was creating lasting connections. The next week brought new challenges as I started to coordinate my team for the project. There was much to do, from planning timelines, delegating tasks, and gathering user feedback to ensure we moved in the right direction. The weight of responsibility felt both thrilling and daunting. One afternoon, as we mapped out features, I faced a moment of self-doubt. I glanced around the room at the faces of my peers, many of whom were as smart and talented as any seasoned professional. Am I really cut out for this? I thought to myself. Taking a deep breath, I pushed those thoughts aside and focused on fostering a collaborative environment. I encouraged ideas and input from everyone, recognizing that diversity of thought would lead us to innovate effectively. David had taught me that strong leadership wasn't about having all the answers. It was about empowering others and creating a space where everyone felt valued. Slowly, I found my own voice as a leader. As deadlines approached, our team worked tirelessly, fueled by a shared ambition to make our app better. The excitement grew with every brainstorming session and feedback iteration. We were all in this together, and it felt rewarding to watch ideas shape into tangible outcomes. One night, as we wrapped up a late meeting, Emma turned to me. I feel like we've really bonded as a team, Alex. Leading this group has shown you're capable of so much more. Her words resonated deeply as I reflected on my journey from doubt to confidence. I realized that the experiences I had gathered, every challenge, every setback, had been instrumental in molding the person I had become. As the project neared completion, I felt a sense of pride in what we had built. The success wasn't just in the app itself, it was in the connections forged and the lessons learned. When launch day arrived again, the lessons from the previous success transformed into a renewed excitement. Standing alongside my team at the launch meeting, watching the numbers climb in real time, a rush of gratitude filled me. The journey I was on was more significant than any singular achievement. It was about growth, resilience, and ultimately becoming a better version of myself. This internship had opened my eyes to a world where challenges were not obstacles but opportunities for growth. I was no longer a hesitant student standing in front of a classroom. I was a leader, ready to navigate new horizons, and I welcomed it all with open arms, eager to see where the next step of my journey would lead. Building a legacy. As the successful launch of our updated app faded into the background, the excitement within the team began to settle into a determined focus for the future. It became clear that our work wasn't just about implementing changes, it was about establishing a lasting impact on our users and the company. In our first post-launch meeting, David encouraged the team to reflect on what we had learned through the process. This is just the beginning, he said, his voice steady and passionate. We need to analyze user responses and look for ways to innovate even further. What did we miss? What can we improve next? The room buzzed with ideas and energy. I felt a surge of inspiration as team members began discussing the challenges users still faced. They tossed around concepts and insights that could elevate our app to new heights. I sat back, absorbing the collective brainstorming, and realized that the collaborative environment David had cultivated was where true innovation thrived. Let's divide into smaller groups, focusing on different aspects of user experience, I suggested. We can gather data and feedback simultaneously to prioritize our next steps. Heads nodded in agreement, and soon after, we split into groups, each taking ownership of specific features. As my group delved into our assigned task, I encouraged open communication, ensuring everyone felt their opinions mattered. Emma and I often collaborated closely, exchanging ideas about visual layouts and usability. I marveled at how much I had learned from her talent for design. Her perspective challenged me to think differently and creatively. A few weeks into the project, we gathered user feedback again through surveys and user testing sessions. I facilitated discussions to glean insights from both our findings and direct conversations with users. Each interaction fueled my passion further. I was no longer just analyzing numbers. I was hearing stories and emotions tied to their experiences. One afternoon, while sifting through survey responses, I stumbled upon a recurring theme. users expressed frustration with the onboarding process, often feeling lost when first using the app. "We can't overlook this," I exclaimed during our next team meeting. "We have the opportunity to shape first impressions and guide users in their journey." The team rallied around the idea of enhancing our onboarding experience. We brainstormed methods to simplify and enrich the process, turning it into an engaging introduction rather than a mere tutorial. I formulated a detailed plan to revamp the user experience, incorporating interactive elements and intuitive design. As presentations approached, the energy in the office was electric. Late hours spent tweaking designs and compiling feedback brought us closer as a team. I felt a sense of fulfillment watching our ideas coalesce into a compelling proposal we were proud to present. When the day of the presentation arrived, my heart raced with anticipation. As I stood before the team, flipping through the slides we created, confidence surged within me. "Our users deserve an onboarding experience that sets them up for success," I began, detailing our insights and proposed enhancements. Passion radiated from me as I shared the potential impact these changes could have on user retention and satisfaction. I could see the enthusiasm in my teammates' eyes, and with each positive reaction, my confidence grew. When we concluded the presentation, David clapped his hands together. "Excellent work. This is precisely the innovation we need. Let's prioritize these changes and get started on development right away." In the weeks that followed, our team dove passionately into the project. We transformed our ideas into actionable items, implementing the revamped onboarding system. Every day felt like a step toward creating a stronger legacy for the app, one that genuinely reflected the needs and experiences of its users. The day finally arrived when we would test the new onboarding process with actual users. My heart raced as we gathered for the session, anxiously awaiting their reactions. We walked them through the new features, monitoring their responses and engagement levels closely. As the sessions unfolded, I watched as users navigated the app, their initial hesitations melting into smiles. Their excitement at successfully completing the onboarding process was palpable. I felt pride swell within me, knowing that our work had made a real difference. Afterward, we collected feedback, and the results were overwhelmingly positive. Users reported feeling more confident with the app, and many expressed gratitude for how intuitive it felt. By the end of the day, I was buzzing with energy. "Today was incredible," Emma exclaimed, high-fiving me as we wrapped up. "We did it. Honestly, this team has been phenomenal. I could not have done this without all of you," I replied, feeling the weight of shared accomplishment. The momentum from those successful tests propelled us into discussions about even more upgrades and strategies. Some of our ideas began to branch out into new features that could enhance functionality, making the app not just a tool, but an essential companion for our users. One late afternoon, as I reflected on everything, the user feedback, the late-night brainstorming sessions, and the evolving goals, I felt a sense of clarity. This internship wasn't just a stepping stone. It was a pivotal moment in my life, shaping me into a leader who embraced challenges with enthusiasm. One day while I was working on a report, David approached my desk. "Can we chat for a minute?" he asked, a thoughtful expression on his face. I followed him into his office, a mix of curiosity and anticipation swirling in my gut. "Alex, you've shown remarkable leadership and insight during this project," he began, leaning back in his chair. "I want to discuss the possibility of extending your internship. I believe you could contribute significantly to our future projects." Stunned, I took a moment to gather my thoughts. "I'd love that, David. I'm genuinely passionate about the work we're doing." "That's what I hoped to hear," he replied, smiling. "We have exciting plans coming up, and I think you can take a stronger role moving forward." As I walked back to my desk, I reflected on the series of events that led me to this moment. The journey had transformed me, not just professionally but personally. I had built a foundation of confidence, resilience, and newfound purpose. The next chapter was about to unfold, and I felt ready to embrace it with open arms. I was poised to make a lasting impact, not just on this app, but on the users whose lives it touched. With each challenge I faced, I was crafting a legacy that resonated with the very essence of what I had come to believe was possible. Creating impact. With my internship extended, excitement filled the air as I prepared for the next phase of the project. The team was energized and ready to tackle fresh challenges together. Each day brought more learning, and I thrived in the fast-paced environment of the startup, grateful for the opportunities to contribute meaningfully. One afternoon, during a team meeting, David presented the idea of launching a new feature designed to foster community communication within the app. We want our users not only to utilize the app, but to engage with one another, sharing experiences and advice, he explained. The idea sparked my imagination, and I immediately began thinking of ways we could implement it effectively. Let's create forums or discussion boards where users can ask questions and share success stories, I suggested, my mind racing with possibilities. It could enhance user satisfaction significantly and create a sense of belonging. David nodded enthusiastically. That's a fantastic idea, Alex. We need to build this feature around community engagement. All of you should brainstorm how we could go about it. As we broke into smaller groups, I felt a surge of creativity. I wanted to craft a space that was user-friendly, encouraging, and supportive. My group dove into designing the layout of the forums, considering categories for discussions, and determining how we could make navigation intuitive. In the following weeks, we all worked tirelessly. Late nights were spent fleshing out details, drafting user guidelines, and designing the interface. Emma and I sometimes found ourselves in heated debates about the aesthetics versus functionality, but ultimately it only made our ideas stronger as we compromised and adapted. One evening, I stayed late to polish a presentation about how community-building features could positively impact user engagement metrics. As I crafted the data visualizations, I realized that what we were creating was more than a new section of the app. It was a bridge that connected people. Finally, the day came for us to present our proposal to the entire team, including a few executives who had shown interest in our progress. Standing before them, I felt charged with purpose. Our goal is to create not just an app, but a community, I began, laying out our findings, designs, and potential outcomes. As I spoke, I felt the energy of the room shift. My conviction radiated off me, and I could see my colleagues as well as the executives engage with the ideas we were presenting. Each statistic reinforced our vision, creating a compelling case for inclusion of this feature. Once the presentation ended, the room erupted into applause. David beamed with pride. I'm impressed with the thought and detail you all put into this. This community feature is something we absolutely need to prioritize. He looked at me, nodding approvingly. After our meeting, executive team members approached me with questions and comments about the ideas I had shared. It was exhilarating to engage in discussions with them, as they encouraged my thoughts and nudged me to think even bigger for the future. In the weeks following our presentation, we began to develop the community feature. I felt a great sense of ownership, contributing to something I genuinely believed would enhance the overall user experience. Conversations flowed freely in the office, and collaboration felt more alive than ever. As we moved forward, we focused on beta testing. Reaching out to a select group of users was not only crucial for gathering feedback, but also for ensuring we developed a platform that resonated with our audience. It was an exciting and nerve-wracking time. When the beta launch date arrived, the excitement in the office was palpable. We gathered as a team to celebrate this new venture, hopeful for the positive impact it would have. Today marks a new chapter for our app, David announced, raising his glass. Let's toast to growth, innovation, and to our incredible team. Cheers, we all chorused, clinking glasses amidst laughter and camaraderie. As the first group of beta users accessed the feature, I sat at my desk, refreshing the feedback dashboard eagerly. I watched as comments and interactions began to pour in, vibrant discussions of shared experiences blossoming in real time. At first, I noted a few frustrations, common issues with navigation, but overall, users expressed excitement about connecting with others. They shared helpful tips and sparked conversations, giving life to the very community we had envisioned. It was exhilarating to see our concept materialize into something tangible. One evening, while reviewing feedback more closely, I came across a heartfelt message from a user sharing how the community section had helped them feel less isolated during a challenging time. They described connecting with others and finding encouragement from shared stories. My heart swelled with pride. We were making a difference. That's what it's all about, Emma said as I excitedly shared the message with her. Helping people connect and providing a supportive space. This is why we do what we do. In the midst of our continued development, I was surprised when David called me into his office one afternoon. Alex, I wanted to talk to you about your future with the company, he began, his tone serious yet warm. My heart raced as he spoke. The leadership team has been impressed with your contributions during your internship. They believe you have a bright future here. I blinked, processing his words. David continued, we'd like to offer you a full-time position with the team. We believe your insights and leadership can take this company to new heights. Stunned, I searched for the right words. I'm thrilled. Thank you so much for this incredible opportunity." David smiled, a mixture of pride and excitement radiating from him. "Welcome aboard, Alex. Your journey is just beginning." As I left his office, a whirlwind of emotions flooded through me: excitement, gratitude, and a deep sense of purpose. I realized how far I had come from my days as a hesitant student filled with uncertainty. This was proof that taking those initial leaps of faith could lead to something extraordinary. Later that evening, I met up with friends to share the news. When I told them, cheers erupted around the table, and they eagerly asked questions about my new role. Their support flooded my heart, and I felt incredibly fortunate to have this nurturing network around me. With the community feature moving toward full launch and my new full-time position secure, I settled into a comfortable rhythm. My life had transformed dramatically over the course of my internship, and I was ready for everything that lay ahead. I was not just crafting an app or working for a company. I was building a legacy founded on connection, innovation, and the belief that meaningful technology could change lives for the better. As I worked alongside my colleagues, I focused on further developing that vision, channeling my passion and determination into every project. I knew that this was the beginning of a journey that would lead to endless possibilities, shaping both my career and the lives of those who engaged with our app. The more I embraced challenges, the more I discovered my own potential, a thrill that fueled my eagerness to learn, grow, and transform the world around me. The power of connection. As I stepped into my new role, a sense of responsibility and excitement enveloped me. My focus shifted to not only leading projects, but also fostering relationships within the team and the user community. I understood that creating a successful app required more than code. It required empathy, communication, and collaboration. In the weeks that followed, we launched the community feature to all users. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and conversations exploded within the app. Users began sharing stories, advice, and moments of triumph, creating a vibrant and supportive ecosystem. It was exhilarating to witness real connections being formed between people from different backgrounds, all united through their experiences. "Look at this," Emma said one afternoon, pointing to the screen displaying endless activity in the community forums. "This post has nearly 20 comments. People really are engaging with each other." As I scrolled through discussions filled with encouragement and shared successes, I marveled at the power of connection we had unleashed. Our app was no longer just a tool. It had become a lifeline for many, offering support and camaraderie. Recognizing the growing community, I knew we had to nurture it further. I organized virtual meetups for users, inviting them to share ideas and feedback directly. The first one was a test, and to my surprise, we received an overwhelming response. Users expressed excitement at the opportunity to connect face-to-face, even if it was through a screen. On the day of the first meetup, I felt a mix of anticipation and nerves. I started by welcoming participants and sharing our mission to create an inclusive community within the app. As we opened the floor to discussions, users shared their experiences. Many expressed how helpful the app had been in their journeys. One participant, a woman named Maya, shared her story of overcoming personal challenges. "I felt so alone before I found this community. Now, I feel like I have friends, even if we've never met in person." Her words resonated deeply, affirming the impact we were making. After the meetup, I followed up with attendees to gather feedback, eager to learn how we could make future gatherings even better. Their responses were heartwarming, filled with appreciation and suggestions for topics they wanted to cover. It was clear that we were onto something special. As the holidays approached, our community continued to thrive. I decided to organize a virtual holiday gala, inviting users to celebrate the season together. Excitedly, I brainstormed ideas for activities, games, story-sharing sessions, and even prizes for the most engaged community members. On the day of the gala, I became immersed in the festive atmosphere, adorned with holiday decorations that I had put together over the previous weeks. Participants logged in from various locations, their faces beaming with joy. Starting the event, I welcomed everyone and shared gratitude for the community's growth. As we played games and shared stories, I reveled in how connections had blossomed among participants. Those who had once felt isolated now interacted freely, and their laughter filled the virtual space. Near the end of the gala, I pulled together a brief awards segment to honor some of our most active members. "These individuals have not only contributed wisdom, but have fostered a sense of belonging for others," I announced. The community erupted with cheers and applause as names were called, and I felt a deep sense of fulfillment in recognizing their efforts. At the close of the gala, Maya took the opportunity to address the group. "I want to thank Alex and the team for creating this space," she said, her voice filled with emotion. You've changed lives. Thank you for believing in the power of community." Moved by her words, a lump formed in my throat. I realized that this was what it was all about, not just developing an app, but fostering an environment where people felt valued and connected. I felt a renewed purpose ignite within me, compelling me to continue nurturing this vibrant community. As the year came to an end, a sense of reflection washed over me. I thought about the journey from my hesitant beginnings as a student to becoming a leader passionate about creating meaningful connections. Each challenge I faced had led to growth, not only in my skills, but also in my understanding of what it meant to impact lives positively. With the new year approaching, my mind began to race with ideas for how to continue expanding our community. I envisioned webinars, user panels, and even partnerships with organizations that aligned with our mission. There were endless possibilities ahead. One quiet afternoon, I took a moment to reflect on my goals for the upcoming year. I wanted to solidify our community's foundation while exploring innovative features that could further enhance user engagement. My thoughts kept circling back to one core principle: empathy. With this notion in mind, I scheduled a brainstorming session with my team to discuss potential enhancements. "Let's focus on ways we can infuse empathy into everything we do," I said. "Our goal should be to create not just an app, but an experience that resonates with people on a personal level." As ideas flowed freely, we considered developing features that could help users celebrate milestones together, connect for special events, and even organize community outreach initiatives. The synergy in the room was palpable, as we all shared in the vision of building something meaningful. The coming weeks were filled with excitement and collaboration. I worked closely with developers, designers, and our community managers to flesh out our ideas. Progress felt invigorating as we continued to enhance our app and empower our community. One day, while reviewing user feedback, I stumbled upon a message from a group of users who had formed a book club through the community features. They expressed how the app had facilitated friendships and sparked discussions that transcended just technology. That authenticity and connection reminded me why I was passionate about this work. We weren't simply building software, we were building relationships, and I felt privileged to be a part of that process. As I pondered our progress and future aspirations, I realized that the journey didn't just matter for the users, but also for me personally. My role had evolved into one that illuminated my passions and allowed me to shape a legacy based on empathy, innovation, and connection. With every new feature we launched, every story shared in the app, I felt more committed to our mission: to create a space that fostered genuine relationships where users could support and uplift one another. In a world often marked by isolation and division, our community stood as a testament to the power of connection. The impact we were making reverberated through each interaction and connection in the community. I was inspired to move forward with renewed energy and purpose, ready to embrace the challenges awaiting us in the year ahead. Together, we would continue to build, innovate, and thrive as a community that championed the human experience. Expanding horizons. As the new year began, I felt invigorated by the momentum we had built within the community. The excitement of launching new features and fostering connections served as a constant reminder of why I was passionate about this journey. I turned my focus to expanding our reach, looking for ways to attract even more users and amplify our impact. One morning, while reviewing user analytics, I noticed a spike in activity from specific demographics. There were vibrant discussions emerging from users in particular age groups and regions, revealing untapped opportunities. What if we tailored our marketing to reach these users more directly? I proposed during our next team meeting. We could engage people who might benefit significantly from what we offer. David nodded thoughtfully. "That's a great idea, Alex. Let's develop a campaign that highlights user stories, showing how the app has positively impacted their lives. Personal narratives can resonate strongly with potential users." Inspired, I teamed up with our marketing department to outline a campaign strategy. We decided to create video testimonials showcasing real users discussing their experiences, emphasizing the app's transformative potential. As we gathered stories, I was consistently moved by the narratives people shared. Hearing how genuine connections were formed and how our app aided their journeys fueled my commitment to the mission. During the planning sessions, I often found myself brimming with ideas. We should partner with local community organizations or influencers who align with our vision, I suggested. They can reach audiences we might not connect with otherwise and help us amplify our message. Once the marketing campaign launched, I could sense a shift in energy around the office. The buzz of anticipation filled the air as new users started to pour in, eager to explore the community we had cultivated. we watched closely, analyzing the feedback and engagement as users shared their excitement about joining the app. As interactions increased, I focused on improving our user support systems. I wanted to ensure that new users felt welcomed and that existing users had access to resources that could enhance their experience. Organizing a dedicated onboarding team to assist with questions and concerns became a priority. One afternoon, while brainstorming ways to further enhance user experience, I proposed developing an interactive onboarding quiz for new users. This would allow us to personalize their experience based on their interests while providing useful resources, I explained to the team. After some enthusiastic discussions, we set to work on the interactive quiz. I collaborated closely with developers and designers, combining functionality with aesthetically pleasing designs. When we finally launched the feature, it felt like a culmination of our efforts to embrace empathy in our design. Meanwhile, the video campaign was gaining traction online, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. Each story shared seemed to resonate with more individuals, and soon we began to gain traction in other demographic segments. The energy in the office was infectious, and I reveled in the synergy around me. One evening in the afterglow of our marketing success, I decided to reflect on our community's journey. Sitting quietly at my desk, I revisited the original goals we had outlined when the app was first launched. Our mission had evolved significantly since then, but the core tenets of community, support, and empathy remained guiding pillars. As I took notes on my thoughts, I considered the possibility of hosting a larger community event, a conference where users could come together to share experiences, learn from one another, and connect in real life. What if we organized workshops on topics that matter to our users? I muttered to myself, excitement bubbling up again. The idea ignited further brainstorming sessions within the team. We began to outline various topics, ranging from personal development to technology literacy. The chance to meet and engage with our diverse user base in a physical space felt essential, creating bonds that wouldn't just be confined to the app. With enthusiasm guiding our planning, we devised an agenda filled with workshops, roundtable discussions, and opportunities for networking. We began reaching out to potential speakers, industry experts, motivational speakers, and users with compelling stories. As the event drew closer, I found myself juggling multiple tasks to ensure everything ran smoothly. Coordination with logistics teams, scheduling presentations, and managing promotional efforts kept me on my toes. I thrived amidst the challenge, driven by the vision of what we were creating. The day of the conference arrived, and as I stood among a sea of excited faces, I felt a sense of awe. The venue was abuzz with energy as attendees mingled, shared stories, and engaged in deeper discussions about their journeys. Seeing users interact with one another brought to life the very essence of what we had aimed to build within our app. Opening the conference, I shared my gratitude with everyone present. Thank you for being here today. You are the heart of this community, and together, we are making a difference. My words resonated, igniting a wave of applause as I could see genuine excitement reflected in their faces. Throughout the day, I moved between workshops, exchanging smiles with participants and soaking in the invaluable feedback they provided. Users engaged in conversations and discussions that might not have happened without this opportunity. During a break, I found myself sitting in a corner, watching people bond over shared experiences. A group began laughing, swapping stories about how they had first discovered the app and what it had meant to them. In that moment, I felt overwhelmed gratitude. The community was alive, vibrant, and flourishing. As the conference neared its conclusion, we organized a final session where participants could share their takeaways and experiences. Listening to their heartfelt reflections made everything we had worked for feel utterly worthwhile. "I've found friends here that I never expected," one participant shared, her eyes shining with sincerity. "This community has truly changed my life." Hearing these words filled me with unparalleled joy. It affirmed for me that we were on the right path, empowering people, fostering connections, and providing a safe space for vulnerable conversations. As the event wrapped up, attendees exchanged contact information, promising to stay connected and continue the conversations beyond the day. I watched as the spirit of our community turned into something tangible. Lifelong friendships formed amid shared struggles and triumphs. After the conference, I felt rejuvenated and eager to continue our momentum. I assessed our initiatives and considered how we could sustain the vibrant energy from that gathering. Brainstorming new community events became a focus, emphasizing different themes each time. Our growth wasn't just about numbers. It was about turning our mission into a sustained effort that defined who we were as a community. I wanted to ensure we celebrated milestones, acknowledged user achievements, and continuously fostered connections. As I dedicated time and energy to this vision, I felt a newfound sense of purpose guiding me. The community was no longer an abstract concept. It was reflective of our shared humanity, a testament to the power of connection in an increasingly disconnected world. With a vision that expanded each day, I was excited to shape the future of our community, weaving deeper bonds and creating a legacy rooted in empathy, support, and growth. Together, we would continue this journey, embracing the ups and downs, forging ahead with unyielding determination. Each interaction sparked a chain reaction, reminding me that we were on this remarkable path together, and there were no limits to what we could achieve. Together we rise. As months rolled on, the pulse of our community remained vibrant and strong. With each new feature launched and every connection fostered, I sensed a deeper commitment to our mission. The annual conference had catalyzed something significant, igniting a community dynamic that felt alive and powerful. Feedback poured in from our users. Many expressed how meaningful the event had been, reinforcing the bonds they had formed. This enthusiasm fueled not just user engagement, but also our team's motivation to innovate continually. We set our sights on expanding our offerings even further. One afternoon, while evaluating our community engagement metrics, I realized the potential to introduce specialized interest groups within the app. These groups could provide a platform for users to dive deeper into specific topics, enabling more personalized connections. I shared the idea with David and the team during a brainstorming session. Imagine having groups focused on interests like health and wellness, technology, arts and crafts, places where users can share their passions, I suggested, my excitement palpable. That's a fantastic concept. It's a natural evolution of our community, David responded enthusiastically. Let's put together a plan to implement it. With renewed energy, we divided tasks. I took the lead on creating a framework for the groups, envisioning how they could operate within the app while maintaining the welcoming atmosphere we had cultivated. As my team worked on the technical aspects, I dedicated time to crafting guidelines and resources for group moderators. I wanted to ensure that each group maintained a positive environment conducive to support and respect. After weeks of hard work, we finally prepared for the soft launch of the interest groups. I felt a mix of excitement and nerves as we rolled out the feature to a select group of users first. The response was immediate and enthusiastic. People began joining groups, sharing ideas, and lighting up discussions. Seeing users engage actively sparked joy within me, affirming our belief in creating spaces where everyone felt they belonged. As testimonials flowed, we adapted the groups based on user feedback, fine-tuning functionalities to enhance the experience. Before long, the official launch of the interest groups was upon us. I organized a kickoff event within the app, bringing members from various groups together for an online chat. As I watched the discussions unfold, I was struck by the warmth and connection that permeated the air. But it wasn't just about the groups. It was about building a legacy rooted in collaboration. I reached out to external organizations that aligned with our values, forging partnerships that would enable us to host webinars and workshops with experts in various fields. One particularly memorable partnership involved a local nonprofit focused on mental health awareness. We organized a joint event that provided users the opportunity to learn from professionals while engaging within their interest groups. Participant feedback was overwhelming, so many expressed how helpful and enlightening the sessions were. As I stood in the office amidst the planning chaos, I felt a sense of pride in what we had accomplished. We had turned a simple app into a multifaceted community that provided resources, support, and lifelines to many. Throughout this journey, the relationships I built with my colleagues deepened. We became not just a team, but a family, united by a shared purpose. Each brainstorming session was filled with laughter and camaraderie. It became clear that our combined passion was the driving force behind our achievements. One day, while working on a community outreach initiative, I had a realization. We had the potential to expand our efforts beyond the digital realm and make a meaningful impact in local communities. I proposed the idea during our weekly team meeting. Let's host community events where users can meet in person, volunteer, and help others. We have the opportunity to spread the values we stand for into the broader community. The enthusiasm around the room was palpable. We committed to organizing our first volunteer event, partnering with local charities to facilitate meaningful outreach. From cleanup drives to donation events, the possibilities felt endless. As we worked towards our first event, I felt a surge of pride knowing that we were contributing positively beyond the confines of our app. I envisioned users interacting in real life, sharing experiences that transcended our digital connections. The volunteer event approached quickly, and on the day of I stood among a diverse group of participants. The energy was infectious, people mingled, excited to contribute to a common cause. I watched as friendships developed, stories were shared, and the spirit of community blossomed outside of the app. After several hours of hard work and laughter, we gathered to recognize the collective efforts of everyone involved. I took a moment to address the group. Thank you for your incredible contributions today. This community is built on connection, connections that empower us to uplift each other and those around us. The applause resonated in my heart, grounding me in the belief that we were creating a legacy that went far beyond technology. We were forging a path for empathy and connection in an often disconnected world. As the sun set on that fulfilling day, I felt hopeful for the future, knowing we were just beginning to scratch the surface of the impact we could make. From the very first lecture that had sparked my journey to this moment, I realized the journey was about more than personal growth. It was about building something meaningful together. With my team and the community behind me, I was ready to embrace whatever challenges awaited us. Together, we would rise, continuing to cultivate connections, foster understanding, and create lasting change in our world. Each step forward would propel us toward a future filled with possibilities, and I couldn't wait to see where this incredible journey would lead us next.